The moon rises over Danger Island. Crickets chirp quietly, and the air is warm and humid. Deep within the jungles of Bunmu, there is a temple of Aurori, and inside that temple, a young Dampier brawler sits on their bed, looking at the ceiling, trying to fall asleep during some of the most exciting days of their life. As they are attempting to fall asleep, however, they hear a scuffling noise. At first they think it might be a rat, but the wetness of that scuffling quickly alerts them that it is something so much worse. At the edge of your bed, Chuji, you see one Lolosadagat rooting through the bag of Miss Hikari.
What are you doing?
Huh? No, nothing! What are you doing? You should be awake, Master Chuji. You have to be up terribly early in the morning tomorrow.
What am I doing? I think I'm looking at a little thief rat.
I'm not... Excuse me. How could you? Stealing would imply that I don't put it back.
That's not what stealing means, taking it in the first place. It doesn't matter if you put it back, you still took it.
No one needs to know, and certainly I hope that you won't snitch, Master Chuji.
We'll see
After
about
all,
that. What is that?
My goals are nothing but noble.
Is that right?
Yes, I just wanted to see, and he pulls something out of Hikari's bag, and it's a book, a familiar-looking book.
Oh no.
To Love a Samurai, the story of a young school teacher who falls in love with a samurai who saves her from an Oni attack. It's the book that Hikari gave you guys when you were to read in front of one of the shrines deeper on Danger Island. And he looks up at you and says, well, aren't you curious about how the story ends? We only got up to her being rescued from the horrible Oni, but there's so much more in store for us, I'm sure.
Absolutely not.
Have you no sense of romance, Master Chuji?
I don't have a sense of anything. I have a sense of being tired and wanting to go back to bed.
But I'd like to know what happens next, and the book's so heavy for my little dragon arms, and if I want to read, I have to keep running back and forth from one side of the book to the other. Couldn't you, perhaps, humor an old man? He looks at you with big, wet eyes.
That sounds like a mostly you problem, so, catch you later, man. Don't cry. Are you crying?
No one cares for me except Sanku.
Wait, stop.
I try so hard. Oh.
Shut up. Oh, fucking read it. Jesus Christ, give it.
Ho, delightful, Chuji. He spits the book out on your lap. It's a hefty book, all things considered.
Okay. Ew.
Quickly, from where we left off.
Where did we leave off?
They opened the book. It was after the Oni attack. She was our hero was captured by an Oni, but the wandering samurai saved her and fended the Oni off, and it ran away into the woods. It's quite the tale. It made me so sad that we only read for 10 minutes. But
I'm
perhaps
sure
we can read more.
Fuck.
Read away, Master Chuji. I'm terribly excited now.
Okay. Oh, Rujiko. Likara sighs from her hands as she looks down at the river flowing under the bridge she sits upon. Cherry blossoms decorate the water as the school teacher sighs. What is this? Why is it written like this?
It's a romance story. Read it! Keep reading!
Christ.
You will be here all day if you keep interrupting the story.
If only you could know how my heart yearns for you. Ugh. After the samurai rescued Likara from the fire Oni attack and sent it back into the woods, it had stoked a different fire. The flames of love in Likara's heart. She felt like a songbird released from her cage, flying into the wings of a handsome dark raven. This is gross, man.
Keep reading, there's so much.
Ugh, for so long, she had only cared about educating the young, but perhaps the key to making her happy was a man. But how How could she tell him? After all, she was just a commoner, and he was a rich samurai prince. As she looks in the river, reflecting her long, wavy, dark hair, her perfect eyes, and buoyant... I'm not saying that.
What does it say, Master
I'm not
Chuji?
saying that. No,
What does it say?
Doesn't
Her
say-
buoyant what, Master Chuji?
It doesn't say anything.
It seems to me, as I'm looking over your shoulder, it says buoyant breasts.
Don't say it.
Her long, wavy dark hair, her perfect eyes, and her buoyant breasts.
Ugh.
Start the sentence over.
Duh.
You didn't do it right.
Okay, whatever, man. Ugh. As she looks into the river, reflecting her long, wavy, dark hair, her perfect eyes, and her buoyant breasts, she knows that someone like Rujiko would never love someone as plain-looking as her. She's right. What are you thinking about? A deep, gruff voice calls out to her. The voice startles Likara, and she looks up, blushing. There was the samurai. Rujiko silently stands above her, his robes open slightly to reveal perfect abs and thick hair on his chest.
That sounds beautiful.
He doesn't! He was like a beautiful kami, glistening with sweat in the sunset. His face was showing that perfect stubble that wasn't too messy, and his eyes were like a beautiful midnight. Likara could barely reply as she stared up at the samurai before blushing and looking away. Nothing, she sputters. Though, really, she was thinking of how handsome Rujiko looked standing before her. Does she have any other brain cells? Is he all she can think about?
That's what love does to you, Chuji.
Hope she gets better.
Keep going.
Tusk, Rujiko rubs his chin. Looking down at her, do you mind if I sit by you for a while? No, not at all, Your Grace. Likara blushes even harder. You don't need to call me Your Grace, Likara, Rujiko says with his deep, hoarse voice. I would like to hear you say my name with your beautiful voice. With her beautiful voice, Likara could barely believe it. Did the samurai really think her voice was beautiful? Likara stared into Rujiko's eyes before averting her gaze. Well, if you insist, Rujiko. The samurai smiles at her, and it makes Likara's stomach jump a little. He looks like a deadly panther, powerful and dark all at once. I had wanted to ask you, Likara. Rujiko leans in, tracing her cheek with his calloused yet perfect hand. That doesn't make any sense.
It does. Shush, keep going.
No, it doesn't. Calluses are literally... Whatever, man.
Imperfections can be perfect.
That's... not... Those are opposite words.
Oh, well, forgive me if the world doesn't fall into black and white.
Okay.
Give it a chance, Chuji. Open up your heart to this tale. Allow
I've given it a
yourself to
chance, a
imagine.
full page of chance.
There's much more.
Are you working in the school tonight? Makara's heart skips a beat and she laughs softly. No, Rujiko, we don't work at night, she explains. Rujiko's hand slides down her face, her neck, her shoulder, her arm, all the way down to her hand. She clasps it firmly, looking into her eyes. Or he clasps it firmly, looking into her eyes. I would like to ask if you'd accompany me for a meal tonight. Kara's eyes light up. Tonight? She gasps softly. Rujiko smiles, like a smoldering fire about to reignite through love. I like you, and I'd like to get to know you better. Rujiko stands. Will you allow me to do so? Likara nods, quickly, still blushing. Of course. Then I shall see you tonight. Rujiko throws his cloak over his shoulders and walks off into the woods, leaving Likara on her own. As soon as Rujiko leaves, Likara stumbles to her feet and covers her face. A date. Oh, Rujiko, my one true love. How my heart aches for you. A shrill laugh echoes, shaking Likara from her dream. There, standing at the other end of the bridge, is Mizula, the merchant's daughter. A date? Don't make me laugh, she hisses. I don't think I heard Rujiko say anything about a date. Asking you to meet with him is hardly a romantic adventure now, is it? Lucara gasps. Mizula, were you eavesdropping? Mizula tosses her wiry hair over her shoulder, folding her arms. There's no chance Rujiko will ever love you, Lucara. After all, I'm the one who will have his heart. Lucara feels like she might faint. You? What in the name of the mountain of heaven could you mean? Mizula sneers. You think such a handsome man would be interested in a poor, ugly girl like you? Once I seduce him, he'll only have eyes for me. Lucara blinks away tears, her beautiful figure silhouetted by the sunset. No.
She is beautiful, not ugly.
Certainly not as ugly as this bitch. Mizula simply mocks her. Good luck on your date. It'll be the only date a woman like you ever goes on. And with that, she laughs, walking away. Lucara sinks to her knees. Could it be true? Would Mizula have Rujiko's heart instead of her? She's so much more beautiful and rich, after all. Would Rujiko really choose a poor, ugly woman like Lucara over Mizula? Standing up, Lucara promises herself she'll win Rujiko's heart, and maybe, just maybe, he'll be the one to learn her deep, dark secret. The secret no one else in the world could ever know about her.
A secret? What on earth could it be?
Lucara walks out to the restaurant overlooking the edge of the woods, catching her breath. She wears a flowing kimono adorned with intricate patterns, enveloping her with a sense of grace and timeless beauty. The obi cinches her waist, accentuating her feminine silhouette, while delicate kanzashi in her hair add a touch of ethereal charm. I hate dressing up like this, Lucara sighs. She'd much rather wear simple clothes, unlike most of the other vain women in this town.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. But then... But then, as she walks to the balcony where she was meeting with her date, there was the samurai. Rujiko is rugged, clad in a tailored kimono of deep indigo, adorned with gold embroidery that depicts fierce dragons and soaring phoenixes. Sick. A silver obi wraps around his waist, intricately woven with symbols of courage, symbolizing his noble lineage and indomitable spirit. Lucara can barely speak as she stares at this beautiful man who rescued her from the fire Yao Oni. As Lucara stands there, unable to move, Rujiko comes to her and kisses the back of her hand. Lucara, he says softly, tonight your eyes look like the stars. As do your hips. Lucara has never heard something so kind. She practically buckles before bowing her head in reverence to the samurai. Rujiko, thank you for inviting me out here tonight. Perhaps it truly was a date. The evening was the most romantic Lucara ever experienced. Rujiko had spent some of his vast riches on Lucara, ensuring the best food, music, and drink. She was beyond flattered that such a handsome man would give her so much. But the words Mizula spoke to her earlier still weigh on her heart. Rujiko runs a thumb over Lucara's knuckle. You seem distracted, despite everything I've given you tonight. What more should I give you to win your smile? Lucara looks away, gaze averted. Oh, Rujiko, I fear that you won't admire me by the end of tonight. Rujiko caresses her hand, looking into her eyes with a smolder. Why would you think that? Well, you see, my secret is that... Before Lucara can tell Rujiko the truth, the samurai perks up, eyes narrowed. Lucara follows his gaze out into the woods beyond the balcony. What is it? She starts, before she is cut off entirely. A massive shape leaps out of the woods, red skin, long horns, and massive bosoms. What is with this author and tits?
It's a romance novel, Chuji. Keep reading. Could it be?
It was unmistakable. It's the Fire Yai, the Oni that kidnapped Lucara, the one Rujiko saved her from. The Oni lands on the balcony and swings a terrible club to crush Lucara. She raises her hand to protect herself, only for a whoosh of wind to carry Lucara off her feet. When she comes to, she sees it was no gale. Rujiko is atop her, pinning her down? You saved me, Lucara breathes. feeling her heart thump. I could never let anything befall you, my dove, Ruchiko says softly before getting up and drawing his katana. He turns and faces the Oni and stoically clutches his sword shaft. The Oni laughs and swings down on Ruchiko, and Ruchiko dodges the attack with his blade. The two fight quickly and furiously, and Lakara can only breathlessly watch as he wields steel to fend off the monster. He reminds her of a mighty swordfish, piercing the waves with its silver fins. Could anyone truly be as beautiful as Ruchiko as he fights off this terrible fanged creature, sweat dripping down his brow as his perfect toned pecs glint from his slowly opening kimono?
How scandalous.
Jeez. Ruchiko fights off the terrible cackling monster with grace and might. The beast roars. Ha! You think you've bested me, but when you least expect it, I'll have you! With that, she leaps back into the woods, out of sight. Lakara stumbles to her feet, clutching Ruchiko. He was barely wounded in the fight thanks to his incredible skill, but a single cut bleeds on his face. Ruchiko, you did amazing, Lakara breathes out. Ruchiko looks to her, eyes dark. No, Lakara. By being here, I've put you in danger. I'm sorry. He bows his head and begins to walk away. No. Ruchiko, where are you going? Lakara asks, panic rising in her chest. I can't be around you while the Yai lives, he says solemnly, walking into the night like a ghost returning to the afterlife. It is for your own safety. No, Ruchiko. Lakara reaches out. But it's too late. The samurai is gone, and Lakara's heart was shattered. You can't just leave her, right?
But it's to protect her. Isn't that the purest form of love of all?
But leaving her behind, that's so cruel.
It's a difficult choice to make. Keep reading, there's still so much. Surely there's a way for them to reconcile.
Surely. Weeks later. Weeks. Ugh. Lakara sits on the same bridge. She should be over it, but she's not. That night at the restaurant was one of the most enchanting nights of her life. The romance that Ruchiko treated her with, the food, the conversation, the fight, was also perfect, and she could not think of anything else. Why must she be alone now? Because he needs to slay the Oni? Wouldn't she be more safe with him by her side? Oh, how her heart aches. Ruchiko, she sighs. It's because he thinks she'll be hurt, but maybe if he knew that she wasn't just some helpless girl, he'd be able to spend some time with her again. Maybe they could even get married. That's it. She has to find him. She has to tell him. She can set things right and earn their happily ever after. Do you think that's her secret? That she's like super cool and awesome?
Maybe.
Oh, fuck. Alright. Lakara makes her way through the woods, looking for the samurai. This is where he spends most of his time, seeking out the Oni. She keeps her head low, her ears open, and then, what she sees is beyond anything she could have anticipated. There in the moonlit clearing before them is Ruchiko, and standing before him is Missoula?
No!
Two-timing bitch! Lakara gasps, a pang of pain in her heart. No! Had Missoula stolen Ruchiko away? Had he chosen her over Lakara? Was this the end of their love? She could only watch in pain as Missoula beckons and Ruchiko steps forward. No, this isn't fair. After everything she's felt, Ruchiko walks closer and Lakara almost lets them embrace. But she can't. She loves Ruchiko. He's her one true love, and she won't let that love get away from her. Not like this. Ruchiko! Ruchiko stops in his tracks and turns, looking at Lakara. The charm spell fading away. Lakara gasps and Missoula scowls. Oh, well, you certainly came at the perfect time, didn't you? Just as I was about to have him stand still for me. Lakara gasps as Ruchiko stumbles back, clutching his head, and Missoula begins to grow. Her skin turns red, her teeth grow to fangs and suddenly tower before them as this fire yai? Missoula was the Oni the entire time!
Oh my goodness!
Holy shit! Yeah! Missoula swings her club down on Ruchiko, knocking him prone. Ruchiko! Lakara yells out, rushing out from the darkness and into the clearing. Lakara, no, stay back! He calls to her, trying to keep her safe. He gets to his feet, drawing his sword. With a roar, Missoula lunged at Ruchiko, her fiery claws slashing through the air. Ruchiko evaded her attacks with swift precision, despite his weakened state. He countered with calculated strikes, his katana gleaming in the night. Missoula was relentless, her fire-infused club blazing through the night sky, leaving a trail of scorching destruction. Licara, recognizing the danger, summoned every ounce of courage within her and released a torrent of protective magic, creating a shield that enveloped Rujiko. She has magic?
It would seem so.
Undeterred, Missoula directs her fury towards Licara, sensing her as the weak link. Flames dance around her fingertips as she unleashes a barrage of fireballs. Licara's shield holds steadfast, deflecting the onslaught, but it begins to crack under the intense heat. As Missoula closes in, bringing her club down to collide with Licara, there is a flash of movement, and Rujiko takes the attack in her stead.
No!
Nah! He roars, toppling to the floor. Licara gasps out, Rujiko! Rujiko gasps, looking up at Licara. My love, run. Ha! How quaint, your love, Missoula chuckles, swinging her club in the air. Did I not tell you I would have this heart? What? Fuck. Did I not tell you I would have his heart? I meant this, truly. She picks Rujiko up and peels open his armor, revealing his glistening chest. She gets ready to remove his heart when a blast of ice catches Missoula in the face. The fire yoni roars. Confused, she turns to where Licara stands, or rather stood. The young teacher has revealed her secret. She is not an ordinary woman. Impossible! Missoula stares in confusion at the silhouette before her. You are... That's right, Missoula, Licara responds, snarling. In the moonlight's gentle embrace, Licara the Frosty Eye stands. A vision of frost grace and ethereal beauty. The Ice Oni's radiant skin shimmers like pristine snow, adorned with delicate crystalline patterns that sparkle with every movement. Her eyes, like pools of glacial sapphire, hold a captivating allure, piercing through the icy air with an enchanting gaze that freezes hearts in admiration. Ha! Rujiko looks at Licara, with nothing but true adoration in his eyes. So that's how it is. With a determined expression, Licara steps forward, her icy aura contrasting with Missoula's fiery presence. Frost forms around her fingertips, coalescing into sharp, icy daggers. In a swift motion, she hurls the daggers towards Missoula, catching the fire Oni off guard. The icy projectiles find their mark, causing Missoula to stagger, releasing her hold on Rujiko. Seizing the opportunity, Rujiko swiftly recovers and unsheaths his katana, joining Licara in the fight against Missoula. The wounded samurai and the secret Ice Oni fight with synchronized precision, their weapons dancing through the air as they engage the fire Oni. Licara encases Missoula's legs in ice, immobilizing her, while Rujiko unleashes a flurry of strikes with his katana. Sparks fly, and the fire Oni's club clashes against the samurai's blade, but Rujiko's determination and Licara's ice magic begin to overwhelm Missoula, pushing her to the brink of defeat. As Missoula's flames flicker, her strength wanes. The combined assault of Rujiko and Licara proves too much for her fiery resilience. With one final strike, Rujiko's katana finds its mark, severing Missoula's connection to the mortal realm. The fire Oni's body dissipates into smoke, leaving behind only a charred club. Rujiko and Licara stood side by side in the moonlit clearing, and united in their unlikely alliance of ice and steel.
Yes!
Fuck yes! Ha! That was the greatest fight I've ever had. Rujiko wipes his brow, turning to look at Licara. But why? Why did you never tell me? Licara looks away, ashamed. Oh, Rujiko, I know that in this form, I am but a hideous Oni. You would never love me the way I am like this. Rujiko comes closer, holding Licara's hand. No, Licara, for you, I would move mountains. Time seems to slow down as their lips meet, creating an electric connection that ignites a symphony of emotions within their hearts. In that single magical instant, the world fades away, leaving only the gentle brush of their lips and sweet taste of love lingering on their tongues.
Perfect.
As they pull away from that magic moment, Licara looks into Rujiko's eyes. Oh, Rujiko, but I thought it was your duty to slay Oni. No, Licara, not you. I won't slay you. Maybe we should skip over this part.
No, keep reading. What does it say next?
Hey, wait, maybe we should... The fight stuff was, like, really cool, and I was, like, enjoying that. Maybe we should... Maybe we should...
What happens next?
No, nothing happens.
Let me see.
No.
His voice a husky whisper.
Whoa,
Stop.
stop.
My heart. And their lips made searing kiss.
No.
And yours command.
Stop.
Keep turning.
No.
Liber tenderness, silken nakedness.
No, stop.
A rhythm as ancient as time,
Stop.
bodies merging,
Shut up.
desires fusing, tempest.
God.
And as you're yelling, suddenly you hear a and from a sleeping bag across the room, Hikari Tanazaki slowly sits up.
This isn't what it looks like.
What doesn't look like what? And she turns and looks at you. She puts on her glasses.
I can explain.
I can explain. Hikari slowly stands up.
Wait. Hikari, it's just a really big misunderstanding. I found this and I didn't know who it belonged to.
I will also point out, as you're saying this, you do see Lolo tucked up on Sanku's bed.
You little fucking traitor!
He's snoozing. He's audibly snoring.
This was Lolo's idea?
That's not actually my book. She comes and she takes it out of your hand. It's actually really funny now that you mention it. One of the other enforcers gave it to me as a prank gift.
Oh.
How far did you get in?
No, not that far at all.
Okay, yes. So you probably just reread what you read earlier, right? That's what happened.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, no, yeah,
Yes. I'm gonna take this back.
Yeah, you do that. Yeah.
You know, it probably just slipped. Like I don't think you were snooping. I think it just slipped out.
No,
onto
yeah, I
your
found it
lap.
on the ground in the middle of the floor.
Oh, you know that the creatures in this place. You know, there's trickster spirits and stuff. I'm gonna go, and she freaking takes the bag and she walks out into the main room, and that's where she's sleeping tonight.
Chuji puts their face in their hands and they crawl back to their bed and lay face down.
In your head, you just hear you see some of the last quotes from the last pages. Embodiment of ecstasy. Take me to the edge of pleasure, Rushiko. Let us soar together.
They want to die. Chuji was beginning to believe in love, but no longer.
But perhaps, as Chuji, you return to your slumber and Lolosadagat hides on top of Sanku. Perhaps in your heart, after having read To Love a Samurai, part of you may be a little more open to love in the future.